We are joined today by many esteemed speakers and most importantly by all of you, family, friends of Lieutenant Collins, as well as community members who wish to honor his legacy. As you heard, I'm Dr. Rayshawn Ray. I serve as co-lead of the Social Justice Alliance, along with my Bowie State University colleague, Steve Stevens. Long before a shovel hit the ground to begin building the beautiful plaza that you see before you, Bowie State University and the University of Maryland joined together to form the Social Justice Alliance. To honor the legacy of Lieutenant Collins' memory, our two institutions have been creating new opportunities to research, learn about, and foster social justice since 2020. Members of the Alliance are sitting up front as a collective. You all wave your hands, several of them here, who have done a great job in helping to create a legacy as it relates to Lieutenant Collins, a legacy of unity, perseverance, and also equality. Today, when you visit the plaza behind me, you will see a space that is designed to help all of us remember and reflect. Reflect not only on what happened here at College Park, but to also reflect on Buffalo, Charlottesville, Charleston, Atlanta, Jasper, Texas, Laramie, Wyoming, to name a few. So we never forget and hope not to repeat. This is a place that honors the life and legacy of Lieutenant Collins. We intend to send a message of hope through the display of a unity mural created collaboratively by members of the University of Maryland and Bowie State communities, in which you can learn more about in your program, so please take the time to read that. We have a special morning plan for you. One of the themes of the plaza today is Forward with Hope. I hope that many of us can muster a similar feeling of hope that I feel standing before you this morning. And to help us all, we began the speaking program with words of wisdom from the clergy. So thank you for being here. And again, I say to all of you, welcome.
Introducing to the stage the Reverend Joseph Deck of the Reed Temple African Methodist Episcopal Church.
Amen. It is my honor to lift up our invocation, and I just want to take a special quick point of privilege to just honor this great family that we met on the parking lot at Panera Bread. And I knew something had happened, and Sister fell in my arms, and we've been together ever since with this family. Let us pray. Take maybe 5 seconds of feeling the power of a spirit to help us overcome tragedy. Oh Lord our God, we come now at this hour, at this time, as the rain is filtering down. We are full of gratitude. Our hearts are heavy as we come to a place to honor one who is now recognized as a great martyr. We ask, Lord, that as we come to commemorate this occasion, we ask that your spirit will now run from heart to heart and from breast to breast. Lord, I hear the voice of Dr. King saying that unearned suffering is redemptive. And God, we believe that there will be some redemption that will come forth. Lord, forgive us when we do not understand that the greatest gift you have given us is the power to love one another. Help us to reach to higher heights so that we can claim the prize of the beloved community. Give us the wherewithal and the intestinal fortitude to be able to walk together as brothers and sisters, so as King said, not perish together as fools. Lord, today there's a balm, there was a cry in your scriptures that asked the question, Is there a balm in Gilead to heal the sin-sick soul? Today, there's a balm of healing as we stand on the sacred and the hallowed ground. Out of the dark night of the soul, through a heinous act, comes the daybreak of community between two campuses that will forever be connected through the redemption of assisting one another, through excellence in educating fertile minds to not see the color differences in our skin, but look at the sameness in our beating hearts that are the wellspring of love. Now, Father, have your way through each speaker. Let your words come forth in comfort for this family and those attached. We thank you for the University of Maryland and of Bowie State University. This is an example of how we come together. This is an example of how what would look like something that was meant for bad, that we can heal. And one day, we won't have these type of commemorations, but we truly will get it, that we must be in love with each other. This is our prayer. In Jesus' name, amen.
Please welcome a member of the Maryland Gospel Choir for a performance of Lift Every Voice and Sing.
Sing a song full of the faith that the dark past has taught us. Sing a song full of the hope that the present has brought us. Facing the rising sun. March on, let us march on till victory is won. Is won.
On this somber occasion, we want to talk about the impact of extremism and violence on the survivors' families, friends, and colleagues. It's such an important point that we have to fight back. You have to fight back. Everyone has to fight back. A prime example of this is what Don and Rick have done to carry on the memory of Richard, who was wanting to do what he could to fight against extremists and extremism, not only domestically, but internationally as a soldier. It's so important that we do so. The ripple effects of not doing so are profound, and you see that increasing daily.
We are so honored to be a part of this celebration today. We wish the best to Rick and Don and all the people here, all survivors of domestic extremism violence. It's a hard road to hoe, but they have done a magnificent job in honoring their son's life.
We we cannot say enough about the different ways that they are fighting extremism, from the scholarships at both the University of Maryland and Bowie State to the plaza that you're at today. It's important that everything be used as a reminder that we have to fight at all times to keep this violence from increasing and impacting other families.
If we don't fight back, they win. Thank you.
Thank you so much.
Please welcome to the podium the pastor of the Metropolitan African Methodist Episcopal Church, Reverend William Lamar.
Mr. President, and to the Collins family, preachers like me, politicians and aspirants for political office, sadly, even scholars on campuses like this one, have masked the murderous realities of the American imperial past. The story of the sacred scriptures that I proclaim, the story of this nation, and even the story of this university is a story of space, a story of land, a story of who wants space, who wants land, and who will use deadly violence to conquer it. It was violence masked in the language of freedom that conquered these shores. Violence often in the name of God, made sacred by preachers like myself. It was white supremacist violence that took the life of Lieutenant Richard W. Collins III, the best of this nation, who stands in a long line of those who loved a nation still unsure if it is willing to love back. Near this space, near this land, because he was seen as not belonging, he was chosen for violent execution. This is also the story of Buffalo as well. And this will not stop by our platitudinous rhetoric theologically or politically. It will not stop until we attack head on the myths that this nation lives by. We must stop congratulating ourselves and get about the work of truly building democracy, which has yet to take root even now. We need courage. Courage from our preachers, our politicians, our scholars, so that this space that we hallow today and all spaces, all lands will be safe for all of God's children. A plaza is not enough.
Please welcome Regional Director of the Anti-Defamation League, Meredith Weissel.
Good morning. I am proud to be here today on behalf of ADL, the Anti-Defamation League. As a leading anti-hate organization committed to fighting hate and bigotry wherever it emerges, I am honored to be here with Don and Rick Collins and their wonderful daughter. Unfortunately, we know all too well that hatred has been allowed to flourish, even right here at home in Maryland. So I urge us to not only honor the memory of Lieutenant Richard Collins III, but to remember how his life was taken way too soon by someone filled with hatred. I was proud to work closely with Don and Rick in 2020 to make sure that our hate crimes laws here in Maryland, in our state, were strengthened so that those who murder due to their racism and hate are held accountable and charged not just with murder, but a hate crime. Just this past weekend, we saw another deadly attack by someone who espoused white supremacist ideologies. While details are still emerging, the shooting in Buffalo, New York is a deadly reminder of the dangers of white supremacy and how we must continue to call out these hateful views in all our communities. We mourn and grieve for the victims and their families and stand in strong solidarity with the Black community during this very difficult time. But today, We are here to remember that good is greater than evil. Love is stronger than hate. We must collectively say no fear and no hate. Let us together stand strong for the values that Lieutenant Richard Collins III showed throughout his life and his loving family who is here today.
Please welcome Senior Program Director at the Leadership Conference on Civil and Human Rights, Nadia Aziz.
Dawn and Rick, it's an honor to be with you and the entire Collins family today. Lieutenant Collins was the third generation of his family to serve this country in our military. When I asked Dawn one time, what did Lieutenant Collins want to be when he grew up, she said very simply, a general. 5 years ago, when Lieutenant Collins' life was stolen by an act of white supremacist violence, it tragically wasn't the first time that this family had experienced white supremacist violence. Before his father, Rick Collins, had the opportunity to meet his dad, who served abroad in the Korean War, he returned home from the Korean War and lost his life to an act of white supremacist violence. Talk about generational trauma. I have had the privilege of traveling the country and doing law enforcement trainings with Dawn and Rick, who share their experiences. So law enforcement officers will know how to respond in the wake of a hate crime. And I always ask them, you have experienced the absolute worst of America, more than once at this point. How can you still believe in service? And they look at me like I am missing something completely obvious, because to them it's not a question. They say, we're Americans. This is our country. This is a family of patriots, and it's time we reclaim that word. This family doesn't just believe in the highest ideals of our country. They fight, and for 3 generations have put their lives on the line for it. Today, we honor you, we honor Lieutenant Collins, and I hope this plaza will be a source of inspiration and to remind us all of your service. Thank you.
Please welcome President and Executive Director of Lawyers Committee for Civil Rights Under Law, Damon Hewitt.
Good morning. Rick, Dawn, family. Our organization, the Lawyers Committee for Civil Rights Under Law, was founded in the pivotal summer of the Civil Rights Movement in 1963. The same summer George Wallace stood in the schoolhouse door, the same summer as the March on Washington, the same summer Medgar Evers was assassinated in his own driveway in Mississippi. Now, we'd like to think that some of those days are behind us, but we know they're not. We have too many reminders here at this plaza, in Buffalo this past weekend, and all throughout this country, especially in recent years. What we know, sadly, is that Lieutenant Collins' murder was not a random act. It is part of a rising tide of hate. It is a weaponized racism, a deadly, virulent form of hate. At the Lawyers Committee, through our James Byrd Jr. Center to Stop Hate, we work alongside so many organizations and families to teach communities, to train law enforcement on how to respond, to value Black life in the midst of hate, and also to push policymakers to do more than they ever thought they could, more than they ever thought was possible, but to do what is necessary in the current day. Now, we were founded in the 1960s, and what we knew back then was that the moral clarity of the struggle, of bloodshed, forced upon this nation a change. It forced a clarity about what is right and what is wrong. We need more of that in this country today. As was the case in the 1960s, today every person of conscience, whether you're here in this plaza or not, whether you're an elected official or not, whether you run an organization or a corporation, every person of conscience must stand up and speak out. That includes college campuses. Now, memorials are not enough, as Reverend Lamar said, but memorials can be a start to the broader work, the broader mission of honoring victims, of providing a form of public reckoning and perennial public testimony, to what happened, not just to death, but also to life. It can also be part of the project of creating a sense of belonging by signaling who deserves our empathy, our concern, by telling us whose lives matter. It's part of the broader project of the reminder that our collective work is not just tolerance and tolerating each other. We have to move on the spectrum, people, from tolerance to acceptance to embrace. That's the only way that we can replace hate with love. Now, I did not know Lieutenant Collins personally, but I've gotten to know his parents and the family. And I like to think that if he were physically with us, he'd be fighting this fight right alongside us through his public service and otherwise. But I also know that he's looking down on you, and in many ways, he still is fighting that fight. Thank you so much for your leadership. Thank you for supporting this family.
Please welcome co-founder, president, and board chair of the Heather Heyer Foundation, Susan Bro.
I can't tell you how much Dawn and Rick mean to me. We're part of a club that we didn't want to be part of. Our children watch over us from above now, murdered in hate crimes. And once again, with Buffalo, Americans have risen up and said, we're not going to put up with this anymore. We're not going to tolerate this anymore. And I can guarantee you, in about 3 weeks, it will be old news. And we see this time and time again. We require blood sacrifice to even get interested and involved for 3 weeks. How much more bloodshed does there need to be before we as individuals step up and say, no more? I will not tolerate this on my watch. I will not tolerate that racist joke being told in front of me. I will not tolerate. And this must not be an effort that ends in only 3 weeks, because I guarantee you there will be more bloodshed down the road. Mothers and fathers are tired of burying their children. Mothers and fathers are tired of burying their children. And I'm going to say it one more time. Mothers and fathers are tired of burying their children. So today we move forward in honor of Lieutenant Richard Collins III. And from this day forward, we say, I will take action. Say it with me. I will take action. Thank you.
Please welcome attorney with Thomas v. Mike Miller, Jr., PA Melissa Miller.
Good morning. After that, how arrogant I must have been to not come up here and know I wasn't going to sob. I'm just going to sit here for a minute and tell you it's both my honor and my privilege to stand here today and be part of history with you, Dawn and Rick. University of Maryland lives to the motto, I'm going to go off script here, of being fearless. And Dawn and Rick, thank you. Oh, you're so sweet. This is my daughter, Catherine. Dawn and Rick, you truly are the personification of being fearless. You were the victims of this hate crime. You were the ones that lost your child. However, you faced it head on. You could have cowered in your rooms. None of us would blame you. You could have not even walked out of your house. However, you both chose and refused to allow hate to win, as you did. And we are all great to be in your presence. It is this reason we gathered today, and we are on this journey with you. My father, when he was dying, made a promise to you, and that is why I'm here. Many of you don't know about this promise, but he wanted to make sure that Richard's death would be recognized honored, and used in a way to help others. He wanted the world to live like your son. He wanted more people to live like your son, and I can tell you, my kids got earfuls about what a hero your son was. And hence, I have a child now in the Marine Corps. Yes. And was part of that conversation. He wasn't going in as an officer, and one day he may be. Your son was a fearless servant of God and his country, and we are all forever grateful. Because of your bravery, solely your bravery, so much has been given. So many people have opportunities, the Richard Collins scholarships, the second Lieutenant Richard Collins Foundation, all have given so much to others. By doing this, you remind us all that hate will not win over love. I'm here today with my daughter to remind you and to continue to honor my father's promise that your son will always be remembered and honored for who he was, how he lived, and how he loved. We will not let hate win. May God continue to bless you. Thank you for being my father's friend. He loved you, and I know you loved him.
Please welcome Interim Chief Legal Officer of the Southern Poverty Law Center, Melvina Ford.
I didn't know I was going to church this morning, but it feels good to go to church in the middle of the week, I will say. So I am honored to serve at the Southern Poverty Law Center. We are a catalyst for racial justice in the South and beyond. We are committed to dismantling white supremacy all over this great country, and I am privileged to be able to lead a litigation team in that fight today. Each year, the center tracks hate groups, and sadly, while the number of hate groups actually declined this year, the number of hate crimes increased exponentially. And that is because the reach of these hate groups have grown much broader, particularly through the use of social media to indoctrinate more and more of our young people, and through the distorting of the teaching of American history in our schools. And that is why I am thankful that the Bowie State University and the University of Maryland have joined together in this fight to develop the Social Justice Alliance to bring about social change. It's why I'm proud to be a Prince George's County resident, where folks like State's Attorney Aisha Braveboy stood with the Collins family to ensure that the Maryland Hate Crimes Act was expanded. It's why, as the mother of a young black boy, I am so thankful to people like Don and Richard. I fear the day he has to get behind the wheel of a car, right? So the work that you are continuing to do to make him safe in this world is so important to me and all of the other mothers who are in this space. And I thank you for that, and I thank you for including the Southern Poverty Law Center in this work.
Please welcome to the podium author, entrepreneur, and veteran Wes Moore.
Good morning. Dawn and Rick, we love you. We love you. We pray for you. We lift you up today and always. And it's important that you hear often and every day, thank you. Thank you for your son. Thank you for my brother, Richie. Because the reality is that Richie deserved better. He deserved better from our society. Frankly, he deserved better because you all should not have had to have worked as hard as you have had to work for justice. And he deserved better because he fought for better. He devoted his life for better. Your family has devoted its legacy for better. He deserved better. And I know that as we stand here today, and I love what Melissa was saying earlier, because the reality is there's not a single emotion that you would feel that would be unjustified. There's not a single response nor a single action that you could have taken that people would look at and say, I don't understand that. Not one. And at a time and in a moment where we are being constantly reminded that hate still lives, today, you remind us that love still lives too. At a time when we are getting these very unneeded reminders of a history and a legacy of our country that refuses to die, that you and your actions continue to remind us of the hope and the promise of what this country actually offers as well, and what it should offer for all of us. That in this time, that it's a beautiful dedication to a beautiful man, to a beautiful leader. It's a beautiful dedication, but the reality is that you all have not stopped there. You've ensured that we can have better laws because, as Dr. King says, that laws don't change the heart, but they protect us from the heartless. You've ensured to make sure that we are enforcing education for our children, so that we're actually incorporating love and acceptance and guidance and compassion into the way that we are raising our children. And you are making sure that his name and his legacy, it has never died. There is a, I think about the motto that we have for POWs and MIAs, for missing in action, folks in the service. It's, you are not forgotten. And I can tell you right now that because of your work, because of your actions, because of your response, and because of your courage, not only is Richie never forgotten, but as he hoped for in life, the world is better because of him. We love you now and always, and God bless you.
We ask that you please welcome to the stage the Prince George's County State's Attorney, Aisha Braveboy.
I'm privileged to be here at my alma mater, the University of Maryland at College Park, and I'm also grateful that I have been an adjunct professor at Bowie State University for the past year. And so the work that these two institutions are doing just make me feel proud to be associated with them. I wanted to start out by saying hate is hate. It is not a mental health disorder. Hate is a choice, and not just the choice of those generations long ago. Unfortunately, there are so many young people in the current generation that will define America that is choosing hate. And as the state's attorney, I can tell you that will not be tolerated in our courts here in Prince George's County. But I can't stop everything that happens out on the street. And that's why, Dawn and Richard, the work that you're doing right now to help people see the importance of making better and different choices in the future is so important. Because, like your son, who had been commissioned to the U.S. Army to save lives, you are saving lives on his behalf. And I want to thank you for this work. You know, when I took office, you were the first family I met with, and that was intentional. Because I knew that this case would define my first term in office. And I knew that there was something about this case, even though my office prosecutes dozens of homicides every single year, and all of them are important, all of them. But I knew that this case would be defining, and in so many ways it would define how people felt about their justice system, and also how I felt about my role in this office. And meeting with you, earning your trust, letting you know that you can trust me, being open and transparent every step of the way, even though we had difficult decisions and difficult conversations from time to time. But that was okay, because that's part of my job. But my faith taught me that everything was going to be okay. And that's why I could look at you when we had that little blip happen in the courtroom and say, everything is going to be okay. And from that, of course, we were able to secure a first-degree murder conviction against the murderer of Lieutenant Collins. But we knew that our work wasn't over. And on the same day that we announced the conviction, we also announced that we would be partnering together to get the hate crimes laws changed here in the state of Maryland. And just a few months later, we were able to pass the Second Lieutenant Richard Collins III Hate Crimes Act, which gave prosecutors a lot stronger, position in these cases when we are prosecuting hate crimes. And not only did the laws change here in Maryland, but I can tell you I took our legislation and shared it around the country, and other jurisdictions are changing their laws to mirror the laws here in Maryland because of our work. So I am grateful to you. Your son picture still remains on my desk next to my Bible, and I look at both of them to give me strength as I make decisions on behalf of this county and this community. Thank you.
Please welcome Acting Assistant Secretary of the Army, Yvette Dusico.
Good morning, everyone. Good morning, Mr. and Mrs. Collins, Congressman Brown, President Pines, President Bro, State's Attorney's Brave Boy, and Mrs. Bro, thank you so much for speaking from the heart, and you touched everybody here. Other distinguished guests, soldiers, and friends and loved ones of Lieutenant Collins, I'm here on behalf of Secretary of the Army Wormuth. She really wishes she could have been here today with you all. Thank you for the invitation to this important event today to remember and honor Lieutenant Richard Collins III. In a time when only 1% of our nation serves, Lieutenant Collins raised his right hand and he swore an oath to support and defend the Constitution of the United States of America. He did so following in the footsteps of 2 generations of Collins leaders before him. His father's service in the Navy and his grandfather's service in the Army mean a great deal to this country because representation matters. Black service members matter. The Collins men are part of a proud history of Black Americans who served our country with distinction. History remembers Crispus Attucks, the first American killed in the Boston Massacre at the onset of the American Revolution. The heralded 54th Massachusetts Infantry Regiment during the Civil War fought valiantly at Fort Wagner. The stoic Buffalo Soldiers of the 9th and 10th Cavalry secured America's West and dutifully served in World War I. The Tuskegee Airmen protected the skies, contributing to the Allies' victory in World War II. The all-black 2nd Ranger Infantry Company fought at Tanyang in Korea. More than 22 Black Americans were awarded the Medal of Honor for their bravery in Vietnam. And most recently, Sergeant First Class Alwyn Cash was awarded the Medal of Honor in December for his courage and gallantry in Operation Iraqi Freedom. Today, Secretary Lloyd Austin serves as our country's first Black Secretary of Defense, and he's leading an effort to stamp out extremism in the ranks. Lieutenant Collins' service was a product of and testament to this lineage. His potential, recounted by ROTC cadre member Mr. Robinson, was that of a star, a model cadet who excelled in physical training, and he was an excellent student. He wanted to be a general officer, and he had what it takes to be a general. Lieutenant Collins' service was cut short by a senseless act of hatred and violence, but his patriotism and fidelity are immortalized. He stands as an example for this generation and the generations of young leaders to come of what military service is to this nation. The 2nd Lieutenant Collins Foundation's steadfast dedication to stand up against hate, promote justice, and empower and educate young Americans is incredible. Providing scholarships to ROTC students at HBCUs here in Maryland and at the University of Maryland is not only commendable, but necessary to make our Army more equitable and our country safer. I would like to thank the university for their hospitality and the Collins family again for their service and their sacrifice to the nation. Thank you.
Next, we introduce and welcome Congressman Anthony Brown.
Let me say, Dawn and Richard, thank you for giving me the honor of participating today. And let me be clear, we're not just talking about Lieutenant Richard Collins. We are talking about First Lieutenant Richard Collins, who will forever be in the roles of the men and women who've been commissioned in the United States Army. First Lieutenant Richard Collins. You know, and I have prepared remarks, I'll be short, but I just have to add this. It was May 21st, 2017, which for me was one of the proudest days of my life. My experience of my oldest son graduating from the University of Maryland, College Park. And before I even left the campus that day, I learned that not but 12 hours before, a young man was ripped from his family and torn from this nation, and that was young Richard Collins. I did not know Richard Collins, but I know who he is. As Wes Moore pointed out, I knew him as a brother. Old enough to be his father, I knew him as a brother because he was a brother in arms. He was part of our family. I spent 3 decades wearing that uniform. He spent less than 3 days, but he was part of our family. You don't become a member of that family unless you have integrity and candor. And in Richard's case, a servant leader. Someone who was physically fit and mentally ready to, yes, become a general in the United States Army. I did not know Richard Collins personally, but I know who he is. And I thank you, the Collins family, for taking your tragedy and turning it into triumph for so many other families. The work that you're doing to eliminate hatred and division that led to your son's death, and what that may mean for other families today and in the future who may not have to suffer, endure that. But our work continues. There is still so much more to do. Thank you for bringing his murderer to justice. Thank you. Said it couldn't be done, it was done. Thank you, Aisha Brave Boy. I thank the Secretary of the Army for posthumously promoting Richard to First Lieutenant. I thank you for developing a scholarship fund in his name and his honor, and I thank the community for waking up and understanding the prevalence of violence in our communities will not and cannot be tolerated. Now, I know we're here to dedicate this plaza and to celebrate Richard, but I want to take this opportunity to thank a dear friend of mine, and that's Steny Hamilton Hoyer. And you just be patient there, Steny, because let me just say this. When Richard's death was brought to our attention, and we looked at the manner in which this family was cared for, a family in our family, and we believe that that care wasn't what it should be, not because there weren't caring hearts, but because the law didn't support it. Now, under the past law, see, Richard had not shown up for duty as his first duty assignment, but for us, it didn't matter. He was wearing that uniform, but because of that little technicality, his family was not able to get a death gratuity. We have changed that law because Steny Hamilton Hoyer brought that to Congress. Richard graduated from ROTC as I did. We are proud of our commissioned officers regardless of the commission and source, but there was a problem in the law. You graduate from West Point, you get automatic enrollment in life insurance. You graduate from ROTC, you got to opt in. Richard didn't opt in. Most young people aren't thinking about life insurance. But because of Steny Hamilton Hoyer, henceforth going forward, ROTC or Service Academy, you will be automatically enrolled. And in the middle of this tragedy for this family, when the last thing on their mind was to reach out to the Army to ask for a casualty assistance officer, because so many things were going on, they did not have the benefit of a casualty assistance officer. That's not how we treat family. And today, because of Steny Hoyer's work on Capitol Hill to change the law, every family in our family will have a casualty assistance officer at their side when tragedy occurs. So I thank you, Steny. And I thank the Collins family for turning your tragedy into triumph for families today and into the future. God bless each and every one of you.
Please join us in welcoming to the stage Congressman and House Majority Leader Steny Hoyer.
Nobody does those things alone. Anthony Brown was in the leadership of all of those efforts he attributed to me. There is a singularity in the tragedy of the loss of a young person. The loss of any person is a tragedy, particularly somebody who has so much promise, who has so much devotion to country and to duty and to family. That is a particular tragedy when that person is a young person. That tragedy, however, led to an extraordinary effort by two loving parents. An extraordinary effort that has turned that tragedy into an effort to elevate the conscience of America, the conscience of our community, the conscience of each of us under this tent as we listen to the gentle rain fall. Reverend Lamar said that this edifice, this plaza, was not enough. Reverend, you are absolutely right. It is not enough. But it is nevertheless, as you said, extraordinarily appropriate, because we do not want to forget. A young man taken from us in the prime of his life with the promise of service to his country, to his God, and to his family. So, Dr. Bro, as we go by this plaza, we need to make sure that the young people who walk by it daily, Melissa, Missy, know why that plaza is there. It is there not only because we lost this young man, but Heather Heyer and so many others. Martin Luther King pointed out that the burden of hate was too great, and that the cost of hate far too much. I contribute to the Southern Poverty Law Center every year, and I've been there around the flame, talking about justice rolling down. I've been there with John Lewis, holding John Lewis's hand, who confronted hate. And Wes always responded with love. I call John the most Christ-like person I have ever met. And so this plaza is about returning hate with love, with caring, with reaching out and trying to lift people out of the burden of hate into the relief of love and caring for others. Madam Secretary, thank you for being here with us. And if you see him, Anthony and I would like to make it clear that we are very, very appreciative to Secretary Ryan, who was the Secretary of Defense, who said to Anthony and myself, yes, I will meet with the family. Yes, I believe we have not acted properly. Yes, the law it should be changed. So while Anthony was very generous in describing it to me, it took a number of people. But of course, none worked harder nor more effectively than Rick and Dawn. Dr. Pines, Mrs. Pines, thank you. Because I know without your leadership, the hope that there would be this plaza would not have been realized. Richard Collins, one of God's children, taken from us by another one of God's children, warped in thinking, but evil in intent. That's what the state's attorney was saying. And yes, it is not enough, Reverend. And when we see incident after incident, the truth of, I forget exactly who said it, but that we forget in 3 weeks. I guess Ms. Hire said it. I know your last name's not Hire, but they get what I mean. We must never forget. And that's why this plaza, Reverend, is so important. Because it's a reminder, it is taking us by the, shirt sleeves or the collar and shoulders and saying, remember. And make sure when you have any one of the people you come in contact on a daily basis, that you make sure they are not the haters and purveyor of violence. Anthony and I and Senator Van Hollen, who was involved in this effort with the Secretary, met with us, are so frustrated that we continue to allow the weapons, and this was not one of them. I understand that, but the result was the same. The hate leading to the use of weapons that can kill people very quickly. Weapons of war, if you will. This reminds us that the weapons of war that we allow in this country are used by those who want to use them badly. I had the opportunity to meet Dawn and Rick the first time. We were down at the Rod and Reel, remember that? Not too long after. And I saw two parents crushed with grief, but unbowed in their determination to not let this go meaninglessly, to build from what tragedy they had experienced and create a positive out of this extraordinary young man's life. And they've done it. We have national organizations here focused on this. Community organizations, lawyers, the clergy, the services. You've done that. It may have just gone 3 weeks, but it's been 5 years. And no one's forgetting because of what you two have done. I got into politics because at this university, a young man came to this university and spoke. His name was John Kennedy. It was 1959. And he urged us to get involved in making our communities better. Not necessarily get in politics, but making our communities better. All of us understand that he was elected president, taken from us by an act of violence. But in his inaugural address, he said, "Let us go forth to lead the land we love, asking his blessing and his help, but knowing that here on earth God's work must truly be our own." You have done God's work. Let us all do God's work. God bless you.
Please welcome back to the stage a member of the Maryland Gospel Choir to perform the Battle Hymn of the Republic.
Mine eyes have seen the glory of the coming of the Lord. He is trampling out the vintage
I now introduce University of Maryland President Darrell J. Pines.
Glory, glory, hallelujah. Glory, glory, hallelujah. Glory, glory, hallelujah. His truth is marching on. Good morning, everyone. Distinguished guests, Leader Hoyer, Congressman Brown, State's Attorney Aisha Brazeboy, and other distinguished guests, the clergy. It's my distinct honor to welcome you, yes, welcome you, to Lieutenant Richard W. Collins III Plaza. How about that? It's been 5 years to get to this point. Mr. Collins, Mrs. Collins, Robin Collins, thank you. Thank you for the journey. Thank you for the partnership. Thank you for the leadership. My heart, of course, breaks for the people of Buffalo and for the loved ones of those who were murdered and injured in this intentional act of hate. People nationwide have been quick to offer them support and prayers, but we must also promise action. This tragedy is not an anomaly, but the latest instance in a long, painful history of white supremacist violence in America. The same ideology that fueled the shooter is the same that killed Ahmaud Arbery, James Byrd Jr., Emmett Till, and unfortunately, Lieutenant Richard Collins III. It is the same evil that took the lives of black churchgoers in Charleston, attacked freedom riders in Armiston, Alabama, exactly 61 years to go to the date, and lynched thousands of men, women, and children for centuries. On March 2nd, at this very spot, we gathered together with the family of Lieutenant Richard Collins III and officially broke ground on this fantastic plaza behind me. During that ceremony, Mr. and Mrs. Collins reminded us all that the world must remember his name. The world must remember his name. Today, we take an important step forward toward ensuring the legacy of Lieutenant Collins will never be forgotten. President Bro, Lieutenant Richard Collins may be a Bowie State Bulldog, but today he is an honorary Terp. And he will never be forgotten. I want to take the moment to share some distinguished names with you on this campus. Benjamin Banneker, Frederick Douglass, Harriet Tubman, Perrin J. Mitchell. These are 4 names you can find prominently on the University of Maryland's campus, representing the spaces, statues, halls, and programs revered at our flagship institutions. Individuals whose legacies include the fight for social justice. And now you add the name of Lieutenant Richard W. Collins III. This is a name and legacy that will mean something to every person who sets foot on our campus, because we have provided the space to honor Lieutenant Collins and his larger-than-life legacy and all of the people who have showed up today to fight for social justice. I would like to thank my partner in crime, Dr. and President, Dr. Bro, who has been an indispensable friend and leader to me personally and the entire University of Maryland community. We thank you for partnering with us as we honor your student, yes, your Bulldog, and distinguished alum, and for championing the Social Justice Alliance, a cross-university coalition promoting social justice to honor Lieutenant Collins' legacy. Give President Bro a round of applause for her leadership. I also like to thank all of the speakers who have come today, who have shared their words with us today about Lieutenant Collins, about fighting hate with love, especially Leader Hoyer and Congressman Brown. I thank you to all of you for coming and taking part in this historic day for the University of Maryland, and one that is personally meaningful to all of us. In a moment, we will hear from Lieutenant Collins' parents, Richard and Dawn. They truly are two of the most extraordinary people that I have ever met. You know, I was a dean of engineering when I met Dawn Collins, a lowly dean, not a president. And she came in my office. Actually, we met at Starbucks, to be honest with you. And right up the road, Baltimore Avenue, top of the hill. And she said, "Dr. Pines, you better take care of my daughter." You guys didn't know that Robin Collins was a bioengineering student at the University of Maryland, College Park. That's right, give her a round of applause. Robin graduated. That's right. She said, "Dr. Pines, you better take care of my daughter." And of course, you know, Richard always sits there quietly, so I think he's gonna hit me or something. I was just like, "No problem, Mrs. Collins, I'm gonna take care of your daughter, I guarantee you." But it's been an honor to meet the Collins family, and everything that's been said is absolutely true. They are incredible leaders, champions of change, and they are committed to honoring the legacy of their son. This is the name, Lieutenant Richard W. Collins III. This is a name, a person that means something, a patriot, a friend, a son, a brother. This is the name, a legacy that will mean something to every person who sets foot on our campus. Because we have provided this space to honor Lieutenant Collins and his larger-than-life legacy of social justice. I would like to thank everybody for being here today. And thank you to all of you for coming and taking part in this historic event. In a moment, you'll again hear from Dawn and Richard. Their son, a kind, compassionate, accomplished student, dedicated to serving his country, represented the aspirations and achievements that we hope all young people to strive for. And despite unimaginable hardship, they have responded with awe-inspiring courage, resilience, and a message of peace and unity. Richard and Dawn have shown us all the path forward. The plaza was born out of tragedy, and as Congressman Brown said, tragedy to triumph, and it stands now as a permanent reminder of the mission we must all pursue in creating a more just and equitable world. Each of us in this tent today has an obligation to redouble our efforts to build an anti-racist, inclusive culture at our university and in our entire society. So in the days and weeks, months, and years ahead, let us not forget. Let it not be 3 weeks that we forget about what has happened, what happened in Buffalo. Let us never forget that we must always combat hate with love. I encourage all of you, not just to come today for the dedication, to come back. This is not a memorial. This is a celebration of his life. This is a place of reflection. And yes, Reverend Lamar, it's not enough, but it's a start. It's a start of bringing us all together. Today, it brought us together today. It can continue to bring us together going forward. Let his name strengthen you. Let his legacy guide you. We will make sure that we will never forget what happened here. And we will make sure that we will create a better world to honor Lieutenant Richard Collins and remove hate from this planet. Thank you.
Now joining us is Bowie State University President Amenta Pro.
Good afternoon. I'd like to add my thanks and appreciation to Dr. Pines and all of our speakers here today. Thank you all for being here today to celebrate the life of Lieutenant Collins, Lieutenant Richard Collins III. Yes, he was our bulldog, but President Pines, we're honored to call him an honorary chirp. Please give another round of applause. And greetings and a special, special thank you to Congressman Hoyer for what you do throughout the year to support Bowie State University higher education and our HBCUs. We thank you so very much for you leading the way and allowing this to happen today. And yes, I understand no one does anything on their own, and I believe in teamwork, but we owe you a special note of gratitude. And please, I ask that everyone give him a round of applause once again. Thank you. To Congressman Brown, thank you for all of your support in leading the way and ensuring that our men and women in military have what they need to fight the good fight and keeping our borders safe, keeping our country safe. We thank you for what you do for our higher education, for our HBCUs. Another round of applause. And to all gathered here today, I bring you greetings on behalf of the entire campus of Bowie State University, the oldest HBCU in the state of Maryland. It was just 5 years ago that we lost our beloved Bulldog, Lieutenant Richard Collins III, to violence here on this campus. Since that time, Bowie State University has remained committed to honoring his life and legacy by working to combat racism, violence, and social injustice. Sadly, as it's been already noted, just this weekend, we saw yet another community in our country tragically impacted by racism and violence. We send our prayers of comfort to those families and to all who are victims of hate. Such tragedy reminds us that our united efforts against racism and violence must continue, and we must remain vigilant in our pursuit of peace and safe communities across our nation. The dedication of the Lieutenant Richard Collins III Plaza at the University of Maryland is truly a milestone moment honoring the legacy of our fallen Bulldog. Those who pass by this site will undoubtedly be reminded of the tragic loss. But hopefully, we hope, and we must keep hope, that all who pass by this site will also be inspired to work toward a brighter future. This plaza is one of many steps taken as our campuses work together against the forces of racism and advance social justice and the movement across this nation to honor Lieutenant Richard Collins III. It was just a few weeks ago we were gathered together for the annual Lieutenant Richard Collins III Social Justice Symposium right here on this campus. Our two campuses came together, and we are so grateful for the work underway through the Social Justice Alliance, through our faculty and staff from BSU and the University of Maryland who honor Lieutenant Collins through the research, programs, and activism to combat hate, violence, and injustice. I do want to acknowledge and ask that they stand once again so we might applaud and recognize them. Will members of the Social Justice Alliance under the direction of Dr. Rayshawn Ray and Mr. Steve Stevens, would you please rise? In addition to the Social Justice Alliance, Bowie State University also honors Lieutenant Collins' legacy through a special recognition at each BSU commissioning ceremony. I want to take this moment to recognize our commanding officer for his leadership of the Bulldog Battalion, Lieutenant Kareem Fernandez. This year's ceremony is scheduled to take place on May 26th, where we will see 22 cadets commissioned into the United States Army as first lieutenants. As second lieutenants. I knew you were going to correct me. Our HBCUs in Maryland also honor Lieutenant Collins III through the scholarship in his name that began in 2019 through the leadership in the Maryland Senate at the time. Senate past President, the late Mike Miller, along with our former Senator Doug J.J. Peters. This scholarship provides for students enrolling in our ROTC program at our HBCUs in Maryland, and we are so very grateful for the good works of our senators, and I know the families here, thank you so much for being here today. I also want to recognize my colleague from Morgan State, who I saw earlier, Dr. David Wilson. Please. Thank you. Thank you for being here today, and I know we all are so grateful for those scholarships coming to our students. And just last week, members of the BSU community gathered to break ground for our new Martin Luther King Communications, Arts, and Humanities building, which will house the BSU ROTC Bulldog Battalion. We look forward to a similar dedication as this today, at BESU when a learning enclave featuring Lieutenant Collins' image is unveiled as inspiration to students and ROTC cadets in our newest building under construction now. Together, our campuses press on with leadership from our Social Justice Alliance to combat hate, social injustice, and violence, and many, many other initiatives. No, this is not the end. This is the continuation of the fight against racism and violence and injustice in our society. We are so fortunate at the University System of Maryland to be under the leadership of an esteemed leader, our Chancellor Jay Perman. I'd like to recognize him at this time. Chancellor Perman. We've heard a few quotes from Dr. King this morning, and I'd like to leave you with yet one more. He once said, "The time is always right to do what is right." The time is always right to do what is right. Lieutenant Collins was prepared to do what is right and committed to protecting our country. Today, let us all take heed of those powerful words of Dr. King and honor him and our beloved Lieutenant Richard Collins III, and commit to work against racism and violence in our communities across this nation. To the Collins family, we applaud and we thank you so very much for your continued courage, strength, and perseverance in sharing your son's story, empowering people to do what they can to save other families from the pain and suffering caused by hate and acts of violence. Thank you so very much, and God bless you.
It is a great honor to welcome to the stage together Mrs. Dawn Collins and Mr. Richard Collins.
I should say good morning, afternoon, as I wrote it on here, but I know it's afternoon now. First, let me take a moment and acknowledge the presence of clergy, academic, civic, military, and political leaders, and all the extraordinary concerned citizens who have taken the time from their busy schedules to be here for this dedication ceremony today. On behalf of my wife, Dawn, our daughter, Robin, and all our family and friends, I extend a heartfelt welcome to each of you. I'm truly humbled and encouraged to see so many bold hearts turn out for these proceedings to honor the life of our son. I want to commend the resolute efforts of the University of Maryland President Darrell Pines and Bowie State University President Amenta Bro, along with their staffs, for making this day of reflection to honor our son possible. My heart overflows with gratitude for the energy and passion you both have poured into making this occasion a reality. It is a sad irony that the date of our family met with the University of Maryland officials to select this site for the plaza was January 6, 2021. Imagine that. We all have witnessed the horrific news accounts of that infamous day, which has shaken our democratic republic to its core. Our proclivity as a nation to accept and make excuses for unrestrained violence in the name of a convoluted notion of constitutional rights and personal freedom demands immediate reform. we must resolve as a civilized nation to take a stance of zero tolerance toward perpetrators of domestic violent extremism. Now, as we grapple with the task in front of us to mend the tattered threads within our social fabric, it is imperative that we consciously decide to combat hate by continually demanding that all individuals and institutions, both public and private, conduct themselves in a manner to reject and eradicate this cancer plaguing our society. Both these fine academic institutions, Bowie State University and the University of Maryland at College Park, have been very supportive of our family in this regard over nearly 5 years now. And it cannot go unnoticed as a small thing to have an historically black college and university and a predominantly white institution working together on eradicating social injustice. The root cause of many of the social injustices in America are tied directly to the practice of racism. The question becomes, what are we willing to do to disrupt and disable the cycle of racism that leads to increasing instances of deadly violence? Our nation remains cloaked in a history of not valuing black lives. America is a country which prides itself as a nation of laws, but has in far too many instances failed to apply these principles when it comes to the matter of disenfranchisement based on race. In his article, A Lynching on the University of Maryland Campus, journalist Dave Zirin from The Nation magazine explains why he believed that it's important, both definitionally and politically, that we call what happened to our son what it is, a lynching. He continued, and I quote, "First and foremost, it's a misconception that lynching requires a rope. Lynching is defined as an extrajudicial murder with the intent of promoting terror. The most harrowing and well-known example of this is the killing of a 15-year-old Emmett Till, who in 1955 was beaten to death and shot. What happened to our son, Richard Collins III, also qualifies." Mr. Zirin also goes on to state, and I quote, "This stabbing needs to be understood as part of a tradition of homegrown violence aimed at black and brown people as an instrument of terror. If we don't see Richard Collins III in the centuries-old continuum of lynchings, we are helping whitewash what took place. We are categorizing what happened as an aberration in the post-racial 21st century United States. Now, in a quote by Professor Jelani Cobb, the Dean of the School of Journalism of Columbia University, he makes a salient point when he states that the vector of hatred moves through history and it is advanced and transmitted by denial. Now, it is my opinion that it is critical to expose racially motivated acts of violence to effectively dismantle the sense of entitlement that perpetrators display. We must repudiate those who violently violate the constitutional rights of fellow citizens. Tragically, we once again have been subjected to the same hateful racial violence in the city of Buffalo, New York, within the past 48 hours. Oh, my country, 'tis of thee. How long until you awaken from your stupor of wanton, violent rage? Yes, sir. In his remarks to the 1952 graduating class at Sandhurst, which is the British equivalent of West Point Military Academy, British Field Marshal Viscount Slim spoke of moral courage and its superiority to physical courage. The Field Marshal shared, and I quote, "Moral courage is a much rarer thing than physical courage. Moral courage means you do what you think is right without bothering very much with what happens to you when you do it. It is not often a question of great issues. It is rather those small things in everyday life. A young officer passes an untidy soldier on the road who does not salute him. And the officer does nothing about it and pretends he does not see. He does that because if he calls him, 'Why didn't you salute?' he may get a bit of lip back. And it may be a bit unpleasant, and there may even be a scene. It is much easier to take no notice and walk on. Every time that you do that, you are losing your stock of moral courage. Every time that you check a man for something that is wrong, you add to your stock of moral courage and you build it up. Do not think you can dodge the little issues, the little everyday things of duty. And then when the great test comes, you will be all right. You won't, because you will have undermined the foundation. That is the courage that makes him do what is right because he believes it to be right. So it is that our young officer, First Lieutenant Richard W. Collins III, displayed that very same moral courage to do what he believed was right by refusing to yield to the threat of the domestic terrorists that he encountered on that morning. His young life exemplified all that is good and hopeful in a world that too often dismisses the sanctity of human life itself. He shall forevermore be the sentinel that faithfully stands watch over this hallowed ground, honoring the ancestral home of our indigenous forebears, as well as those taken into captivity and held in bondage for profit. So as we leave this setting today, many of the words that have been spoken here will soon be committed to the deep recesses of our memory. But it is my desire that we all take with us a spirit of adding daily to the stock of our moral courage. Yes, sir. We will always love you, son. Always. Thank you.
Can you all see why I married this man? Good afternoon. My country, 'tis of thee, sweet land of liberty. To thee I sing. I am sad, I am brokenhearted, because more families have lost their loved ones to hate. My name is Mrs. Dawn Collins. I am the very proud mother of First Lieutenant Richard W. Collins III. An Army officer, the best, the brightest, a patriot. He was prepared to give his life for this country on the battlefield. What we didn't know was that battlefield wouldn't be overseas. It would be right here at home on U.S. soil. He died in this country's ongoing battle for racial justice. May you never, never know the pain of what it's like to bury a child. The most important role I hold on this earth was to be a mother. I didn't want anything else. I didn't want riches. I didn't want fame. I wanted to be mom. That's it. Richard was poised for a life of promise in which he would make great contributions to our country and the world. And to lose him days before his graduation at Bowie State has become and continues to be a quiet agony to my family. Even in the midst of our grief, my husband and I decided we had to do something. It wasn't enough to go home and put our heads under covers, and many of you said that we could have done. But we had to do something to make sure that my son's death, our son's death, was not in vain. Why? Because as Nadia has said, we are patriots. We love this country. Yes. And we want to live up to the creed of this country. We refuse to let racism and white supremacy have the last word and the meaning about our son's life. My husband and I founded the Second Lieutenant Richard W. Collins III Foundation. The foundation's mission is to invest in the education and empowerment of promising young Americans who've proven themselves to be outstanding citizens and are committed to working toward a hate-free, just society for all. We also, along with the Bowie State University and the University of Maryland College Park Social Justice Alliance, promote social justice on both campuses. Did you hear me? Both campuses. My husband and I want to break down racial barriers between the two campuses. We want to groom young minds on both campuses to work together, to be active agents of social justice and become light against darkness of hate throughout the world. See, I dream big. I'm starting here with the state of Maryland, but I said the world. It has nearly been 5 years since my son was murdered. There have been times when we thought this day would never come. Somehow, my family and I have found a way to go on without Richard's physical presence. You understand what I just said? Physical presence. But his spirit lives on in us daily. So to move forward with a vision of racially just America for all, after the deadly shooting in Buffalo, New York this weekend by yet another white supremacist, I know our work is more important than ever. Let me repeat that. If y'all hadn't figured it out by now, I got a lot of preachers in my family. This work is more important than ever. In this moment, I want to stand before you humbly, gratefully, and you can see tearfully, to welcome you to the First Lieutenant Richard Collins III Plaza. Our wish is for the Collins Plaza to be a lasting symbolic place of the University of Maryland that honors the spirit of Lieutenant Collins, repudiates all bigotry. I said all of it. There's no little one, big one, all of it. It's got to go. Maybe a touch point that inspires all students, faculties, and staff on this campus to learn more about the history. There are several individuals I want to thank for making this day possible and for supporting us in our battle. First, I want to speak to the groundskeepers and the construction company. That work around the clock tirelessly to make this a beautiful tribute to my son. And I want to thank all the members of the Social Justice Alliance and particularly the co-chairs. Now I want these two wonderful young men to stand up. Dr. Rayshawn Ray and Steve Stevens. And to my Bowie State family, who loved my son, who groomed my son, who turned him into a man with a purpose. You held my family close, held my family close to honor my son. And you supported us in ways visible and invisible. So publicly, I'm saying to Bowie State, thank you. One of the challenges in my grief has been learning to find goodness in the University of Maryland community after the murder of my son. But let me tell you something. There were 3 women on this campus. Those individuals showed me kindness, grace, and patience. Showed me the goodness and hope in UMD and the possibilities of the future. These people exemplify the spirit of Terrapin Strong. They gave me hope for the future and restored my faith in humanity. Oh, excuse me so very much. They gave me hope for the future and restored my humanity. And I'm going to tell you who these 3 women are. They are Dr. Sharon Freeze Britt, Dr. Mia Smith Bynum, and Miss Tamia Webster. Thank you. President Bro, you inherited this mess. You didn't know me from Adam when you became president of Bowie State. But I will never forget that day you said to me, Mrs. Collins, I'm going to be there with you. And you were a woman of your word. You were there on the front seat of the court during this horrendous trial, and my heart will forever thank you. And there's someone else I want to thank. I'm going to say President Pines right now. But now I'm going to talk to Darryl Pines, the man. the man who met me at Starbucks at 6:30 in the morning and allowed me to cry on his shoulder and said to me, "We will not forget the man who took care of my daughter Robin and made sure." And I thank you for that. These are good people. These are compassionate and committed leadership. And it's the best of the best at both universities. And I salute you both. There have been other angels that have come forward on both campuses in the legislature, the state of Maryland, across the state, across the nation, to support us. They believed in our cause, and they walked with us. And I want to thank all our distinguished guests. Do you hear me? All these wonderful people. Thank you. I wish there was another word in the English language besides thank you, because it seems so hollow when I look at my congressman, Steny Hoyer, of the 5th District. I want to say thank you. And Anthony Brown, you came and you said, "I'm going to be there with you," and you were there. I want to thank you. And Wes, oh Wes. Wes, let me tell you something. This man, he came there with me and my family and said, "I'm going to partner because that's a brother in arms. I am going to be there with you." Never wavered. Now, I'm coming to my close, and I want to thank my extended family. See, you guys don't know this. My family came from near and far to be here today, and I want to thank them. And I want to thank my extended family, my sister, my brother-in-law who helped design this beautiful plaza, my brother, and my sister-in-law again, and then my mom and dad, Kenneth and Laverne Brooks. Thank you, Mom and Dad. This is my joke. My dad is a minister, and he's retired NYPD. So I tell people I was raised with a Bible and the gun. And Robin, my precious Robin. My God, you suffered in the wake of your brother's murder. And yet you persevered to earn that engineering degree, because you know your mama told you go someplace else. I am in awe of your strength and your dedication. And I know that God will cover you and you will soar when you go through life. I love you. And I want to thank this handsome man standing behind me. My husband of 37 years.
Yeah. I paid her to say that.
My rock. I want to thank you for your quiet strength, your resilience. I thank you for holding my pain in the midnight hour when there were no cameras, no pomp, no circumstances, all are gone, but you were there to say, I love you. And my dear, precious Richard, we love you. We miss you. But I know and take comfort in the fact that your spirit is here today. I promised you that I will ensure that the world will know your name. This is only the beginning. And all of you know that if you have a conversation with me, what do I say? This is only the beginning. And I promise you, I will never accept second-class citizenship. And I will never, you hear me what I'm saying? That's like my mama would say to me. You hear me what I'm saying? Never step left. Never. And in my closing, this is what I want to say. All of you have befriended me in my grief and in my journey, and I want to thank my dear friend, Susan Bro. Susan, I told you when we first met, we're going to give them something to talk about. So I say, Susan, and all the people here, let's go and get in some good trouble. Thank you.
And now, Mr. and Mrs. Collins will be joined on stage by President Bro, President Pines, Congressman Hoyer, Congressman Brown, Reverend Lamar, Reverend Deck, Kim Godfrey, and Mike Godfrey to officially open the plaza. Please welcome them to the stage.
All right, as everyone comes up here, Mr. and Mrs. Collins, 5 years ago, a tragedy occurred that has brought us to this place. The speakers and performances we have heard today underscored what we have all known in our hearts, that we move forward with hope and never shall we forget. With these words to inspire us, I offer you a countdown, and I want everyone to participate in this, a countdown so we can officially cut the ribbon to welcome our guests to the stunning and heartfelt plaza bearing Lieutenant Collins' name. We're going to count down from 3. You all ready? All right. I guess I'm going to say on your mark, get set, go. Then we'll start with 3. On your mark, get set, go. 3, 2, 1. Behold the Lieutenant Richard W. Collins III Plaza at the University of Maryland. This concludes our program today. Please go and partake. And I just want to say that the rain, which we had a series of events earlier this semester, the weather was great. I tend to think the rain, my great-grandmother used to always tell me this, meant that people from above were coming down with happy tears. We got Lieutenant Collins. We got Matthew Shepard. We got Heather Heyer. We have all the others coming down with happy tears. And as we see, it is halting for us to go and partake in this plaza. So thank you all for coming to the University of Maryland, and go and check out the Lieutenant Richard W. Collins III Plaza.